Welcome to the Concrete Briefing. I am your host, Carter Concrete. Tonight, we are peeling back the layers of a cultural phenomenon that redefined the landscape of American music and urban identity. This is not a mere recitation of tabloid headlines or rap beef rumors. This is a forensic journalistic deep dive into the strategic friction between two titans of Queens, New York, Jeff Atkins, the world-renowned I Rule, and Curtis Jackson, the formidable 50 Cent. This is a case study in narrative control and socioeconomic pressures. To understand the arguments made today, we must first analyze the soil from which these personalities grew. Queens is not a monolith. It is a state comprised of distinct cities: Hollis, South Side, Queensbridge, and Lefrak. The cultural history here is written in the dialect of the streets. While Queensbridge birthed the Dun language, Ya Rule emerged from the Hollis into Fifth Area, a community historically marginalized by redlining and systemic underinvestment. This environment forged a specific type of resilience, where your word is your currency and your story is your shield. Let's explore the primary argument regarding the origin of this rivalry. The argument: Ya Rule contends that the friction was never about the art of music. He asserts it was a deeply personal dispute involving a lover's triangle and a stolen chain. From a professional perspective, we must analyze the validity of narrative. Ya Rule argues that an associate from the South Side targeted him due to emotional grievances, and that 50 Cent, whom he describes as the guy next to the guy, sees this incident as his entry point into the industry. The brilliance of this argument lies in its deconstruction of persona. Ya Rule labels his rival an MC Gusto, a linguistic reference to a storyteller who manufactures a grimy persona to gain leverage in a competitive market. However, the counter-argument from figures like Tony Yayo suggests the conflict began because 50 Cent aligned himself with those already challenging Ya Rule's dominance. This illustrates a fundamental battle in urban history: the established monopoly versus the hungry newcomer using narrative leverage to dismantle a kingdom. Now, let us analyze the professional evolution of the art itself. Before the global dominance of current melodic giants, Ya Rule pioneered what we now call the hip-hop duet. Ya Rule argues that he revolutionized the R&B hip-hop mashup. He didn't just provide a 16-bar verse. He intertwined his melodies into the hooks and the very fabric of the records. This was a calculated professional risk. When Ya Rule presented this melodic flow to the suits at Def Jam, the corporate response was hesitant. The industry motto was, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." But Ya Rule's decision to pivot completely left. Growing braids to distinguish himself from the grimy comparisons to icons like DMX or Tupac resulted in a 3 million copy success. His voice, that baritone, melodic grit, became a template. We see the influence of this linguistic style even in correctional facilities, where young men use this specific street harmonizing to express vulnerability without losing their cornerstone status. He made it acceptable for the urban male to be both melodic and formidable. We must now address the socio-political consequences of this sustained friction. Ya Rule argues that this specific conflict messed up New York hip-hop. He posits that by forcing the industry and the public to pick a side, the potential for a unified New York powerhouse was effectively dismantled. Imagine the what if. A conglomerate featuring the combined forces of Murder Inc. and G-Unit could have rivaled the largest labels in history. The tragedy here is a recurring theme in the Black urban struggle. Internal friction often sabotages collective economic power. The loudest voice dictated the history, and the media's appetite for conflict overshadowed the potential for a billion-dollar synergy. But a journalist must look at the current trajectory. Truthful reporting requires us to see the evolution of the man. Today, Jeff Atkins is focused on legacy and global philanthropy. He has transitioned from the gladiator school of the streets and prison to the boardroom of the spirits industry with Amber and Opal. The brand is built on the concept of inclusivity, mirrored by the multicolored nature of the opal stone. Furthermore, his commitment to infrastructure, specifically building a 6-classroom school block in Nassau, Ghana marks a transition from urban friction to global betterment. Ja Rule reflects that his journey taught him a vital lesson. Black men in America are often conditioned to view each other as competition rather than community. His ultimate argument is that the true victory is not winning a beef, but living the time between one's birth and death with discipline, purpose, and impact. In summary, the story of Ja Rule and 50 Cent is a masterclass in the power of narrative. It shows how a loud voice can shape public history, but it also demonstrates how an individual can bet on their own creative vision to survive systemic neglect and corporate doubt. The facts reveal a man who emerged from black poverty, navigated the complex corridors of the corporate world, survived the most publicized rivalry in history, and is now building schools in Africa. That is the definition of resilience. That is the concrete briefing. The urban struggle is real, but the ability to redefine your own narrative is where the true power lies. I am Carter Concrete. If you value facts over friction and analysis over hype, ensure you subscribe and engage with this briefing. We report the facts, we analyze the struggle, and we build the foundation.